Yo, yo, yo. It's your boy D Davis back at it again. One more time with sports talking ball stuff. Fresh off the scene of the Cam Newton and Corey Holcomb interview. And I thought it was a wonderful interview. Um, just off entertainment purposes. Corey Holcomb is my favorite comedian in the game right now. Um, so he always gonna bring the heat, 5150 Nation, all that. Uh, and as an interview goes, I think this was the interview of the year. This was a better interview than Cat Williams and Shannon Sharp, which was a good interview, and it happened to be very prophetic as 2024 unraveled. um, it's funny how those things happen like that. But yeah, I think this interview with Corey Holcomb. I think it was a very entertaining interview. He went in as Corey Holcomb does, um, and I see that Cam Newton was he was trying to steer the conversation in a certain way. And Corey was like, nah, fuck that shit, and steered it the way that he was gonna steer it. You gotta just understand, once you confident and you believe in what you say and you stand on what you say, you're not gonna be swayed by people that are um trying to push a narrative or push an agenda or steer a conversation in a certain way. Like, it is what it is in most situations. And I'm the same way where, if I if I say it, I pretty much mean it. Um, you know, People who talk a lot. Um, I don't talk too much. I think it's best not to talk a lot because when you talk a lot, you say things that you probably shouldn't say. But for people who do talk a lot, you may say things that you might not say or probably shouldn't say, or might not have said if you had time to think about it. Um, but I think Corey, he was able to stand on what he stood on. Um, Even though Ken was trying to push back, and um, I think Cam is low key a liberal feminist Democrat, because he was pushing all the talking points, all the narratives. Corey was talking some real shit. Uh, it was almost a 3 hour interview, so I ain't gonna go into everything that was touched upon in the interview, but it was a lot was touched upon and covered in detail. Because Corey Holcomb is very capable of explaining himself and uh, uh, putting some thought behind things that he talks about. And 5150, that show isn't for everybody, because a lot of people are very sensitive. And if you're sensitive and you're used to a very milk toast, um, plain plain subject matter. If you watch Saturday Night Live and you're entertained, and you listen to NPR and on the ride to work, 5150 is not for you, because this is a shock to your system, because it's real shit that's going to be spoken about. And I'm someone that likes real shit, so you know I I watch every Wednesday morning because they tape on the West Coast, and being on the East Coast, I can't stay up for the show. But I catch it before work usually in the morning. So yeah, the BBL uh conversation was something that Nick Cannon, not Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, he harped upon, because I think Corey Holcomb says some real shit, you know, and no offense to anyone who does, augmentations to your body and all that, but that is a sign of insecurity. You got to be happy with what God gave you. You know, my mom used to was telling me a couple years ago that I should dye my beard and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't think about the grades in my beard. I ain't tripping about that. But I think the grades in my beard is a sign of her age. That's just me thinking deeper about the situation. But I ain't gonna hide who I am. Like, it's best to be who you are for real. And if you hide in who you are, that means you're not comfortable with who you are. You got to stand on who you are to be in full uh, independence of mind, body, and soul. But yeah, um, Corey was saying that women like that got a mental illness, and Cam Newton just kept pushing back on it. It's like all of them got, and Corey was like all of them got mental illness, and that was a bone of contention for Cam Newton, probably because he is or has gotten with chicks that have gotten BBLs and all that sort of stuff. Um, and not to say those, they're mighty fine to look at, even to play with. But Corey made in the grander scheme. You got to look at life in the grander scheme. Um, you know, things done, for fun, and out of lust and desire, you know, those are fleeting emotions. And don't confuse an act of lust and desire with love or commitment or anything like that. Sorry, that's man shit. Um, and Cam Newton, he just pushed back a lot on um, things that Corey would say that go outside of the mainstream thought or outside of societal or cultural thought. Modern societal cultural thought. Because a lot of the stuff that Corey was talking about, that was like regular stuff, like 50 years ago, 60, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, prior to, you know, modernization of the world. Um, what is that? Late 60s, early 70s. Um, yeah. So, and I know there's an age gap between Cam Newton and Corey Holcomb. Corey is probably closer to 60, and Cam is mid 30s, I would assume. I'm not sure. Um, Approaching mid 30s, something like that. He didn't play a long time in the NFL. I guess there's I ain't gonna get into that doctor stuff because it's a lot of people masquerading, calling themselves doctor this and doctor that, and uh, proclaiming to be this and proclaiming to be that, and they ain't really about what they be talking about. But I guess that high vibration, low vibration. Um, what I'll say about all that, there is some high vibration and low vibrational people out there. That is a thing. It's just a certain people that that you gravitate towards because of their um, high vibration, or their aura, their presence, it's just something about them that attracts people to them or attracts attention. This goes for anybody, the person that you work with at your job, everybody just loves that person, you know. It's just that one person, like, damn, everybody loves them. You love them. They're just that person. Some people are born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Who knows? Um, I forgot where I was going with this. Corey Holcomb, Cam Newton, shit. This is bad YouTube shit to be forgetting what I'm talking about. What the fuck was I talking about? Cam Newton. High vibration, low vibration. That's what I was talking about. Um, so you got high vibration, low vibration people. You get around certain people, it's just bad energy. It's just like, I don't want to be around this motherfucking person for anything. You got them people out there. But the way that doctor and a lot of these modern feminists, they talk about high vibration and low vibrational men. They talk about high vibrational men as being simps and suckers and doing anything that they want and being total pushovers. And low vibrational men are people like myself, probably the toxic masculineness in the world. Proud toxic masculinist. Um, Myself, I'm draped in it, covered in it, wear the badge with honor. But people like myself, who ain't really putting up with a lot of bullshit, um, especially from women. Like, I ain't just gonna let women just run rampant, tell all sorts of bullshit around me. Like, and I get miscast for being opinionated, but it's only a certain amount of bullshit that I'm just going to have spoken around me where I just got to push back. Like, no, no, no. So it is what it is with that. So you get miscast as low vibrational or toxic or what's my what I get accused of, misogynist and all that bullshit, sexist and all that shit. And I believe there's an order on earth: God, man, woman, children. Sorry. Say what you want about it, but that has worked for as long as the earth has existed. It works many places outside of America or the West. So get mad if you want. It is what it is. What else they were talking about? I ain't gonna get into the Hollywood stuff. They were talking about Will Smith and Will Smith. Who else they talking about? Will Smith and Kim Kardashian. I totally agree with that Kim Kardashian stuff. Kim Kardashian got famous from a sex tape and got pimped out by Mama Kardashian, who's connected with all sorts of people in Hollywood. So miss me with the Kim Kardashian uh, fame, and I'm supposed to fawn over her as someone who actually did something. You ain't do nothing. You did nothing. Lay it on your back, and then got on your knees poorly. No type of arc. Nothing. I'm not gonna get too much into her beginnings, but yeah, I agree with that. Uh, there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube about Will Smith, so I ain't gonna go there. Um, but polygamy. That Nick, I keep saying Nick Cannon. I feel like they're the same character, wearing goofy outfits and shit. So I'm gonna interchange Nick Cannon and Cam Newton for the rest of this video. With Cam Newton, um, he was talking a lot about the polygamy stuff, and real talk. If you a man with money, it don't make no sense to be with one woman. Because guess what? Poor men don't have just one woman. So you think I'm gonna be a man with means and just have one woman? I mean, it sounds nice, but it kind of goes against the nature of man. You know, you read the good book. Most of the progenitors of I guess of us today, they had multiple wives. Go to the good book. Abraham had a bunch of wives. David had a bunch of wives. Uh, uh, Judah had a bunch of wives. Solomon had a whole heap of wives. And just go look at your grandfathers or your great grandfathers. A lot of us in this community, uh, this Aboriginal, American Indian, quote unquote black community, your grandfathers had other women. They was raising other families. That's just what it was. So, you know, all this modernization of go Brees, go. All this modernization of marriage and the concept of marriage, that's a recent new concept. Prior to 150 years ago, 200 years ago, people had multiple wives, multiple women, and it was all right. So that's gonna come back. That's gonna come back. That's gonna come back. Because as Corey Holcomb said, there's a lot of women in poverty, and if they'll listen, might change their life. If only they'll listen. But, they gotta look themselves in the mirror and cut the TV off, cut the radio off, stop reading all this nonsense in the world. Go within. Once you go within, start seeing what's right, what you need to do right that you've done wrong. Gotta start doing corrections. Anything done in repetition and expecting the same results, or anything done in repetition. What is the definition of insanity? Definition of insanity is anything. I forgot what the definition of insanity is, but when you keep doing something that don't work and you keep doing it thinking it's gonna work, that's insane. So you really got to just start, doing some reflections, making some reflections, being real with yourself, being honest with yourself. Once you start being honest with yourself, being real with yourself, you know, educating yourself, really start educating yourself. Now, I don't care if you got a doctorate degree, a master's degree, multiple master's degrees, bachelor's, and all that shit. Get some real education. Because once you get some real education, um, like Corey said, when they start talking about Kamala being a hero and someone that little girls could look up to and all that shit, Corey was like, don't you debrief your kids when they come from school? Like, it don't matter what they talking about on TV, on music, or in school. You got to debrief with your kids. Talk with your kids. Have a conversation with your kids. Let them know what's really going on. But you got to know what's really going on to let someone else know what's really going on. And the dire situation that we have in this country is that a majority of the people do not know what's really going on. A lot of people in this country, the majority of the people in this country, assume they know what's really going on, have no fucking clue. And it's the blind leading the blind. So, unfortunately, it's one lost generation being taught by a generation that was lost themselves. It was probably taught by a generation that was becoming lost. They were taught by a generation that was merging into being lost. You see what I'm saying? And it's a slow, gradual step into chaos. How did shit go? And I know the streets is gonna love that interview. It's probably gonna be Cam Newton's. It's probably gonna be Cam Newton's most talked about interview. I ain't really hear nobody talking about Cam Newton in his show and everything, other than the doctor lady that they were talking about in this interview, because they were talking about. I ain't watched the interview. This is the only interview that I've watched of Cam Newton's, and most likely it's going to be the last interview that I watched with Cam Newton. I usually, watch what Corey Holcomb does, and not too impressed with Cam Newton as an interviewer, and not because I have my own thoughts and beliefs of the world, and not because he was, in my belief, disagreeable to my thoughts and beliefs of the world, but I just thought that he was not well spoken. And people may watch this and believe that I am not well spoken, but that may be true to a certain degree. I wish I can talk like those great speakers and orators and give these illustrious speeches with these big pompous words. I don't think I have the ability to do that. But I think I can speak good enough. And, I watch videos and listen to videos of other people on the internet, on the YouTube and everything. And I think I'm as good as them. So I can do what I do. But Cam Newton, he's got a lot of money from his NFL contract. But I'll say this, as I'll say with any, and mostly, I'll say majority of those former athletes that have these media platforms, they're not putting their own money, or they're not putting a lot of their own money or majority of their own money into these media platforms, and other people are funding these platforms. So there's a certain degree of quote unquote quote truth that you're going to get from these former athletes on these channels and these platforms. And, as you can see from that interview, Cam Newton was certainly uncomfortable with a lot of the things that Corey Holcomb was talking about. Because when you speak truth in certain places, there's going to be pushback, and there's going to be uncomfortability, and there's going to be sensitivity to the things you said or the things you say. And Cam Newton was so worried about the pushback. And I know as an interviewer, you're supposed to, with a quote unquote controversial interviewee, there's a bit of, playing the straight guy, playing the you can't agree with everything that the guest is talking about just because they're your guests. And as an interviewer, you're supposed to push back to a certain degree. But I think personal feelings definitely got into it, and it was not objective pushback, but they were subjective pushback in that interview. In my opinion, in my belief, just because I know, how these things really operate. And I know that, the quote unquote, pro-black independent people aren't that independent. So, yeah, that is my thought. Those are my thoughts on this interview. This is on I started making couple videos on my other channel, 360 MBAA. That is my business. That is what I do. I do mindset coaching for adults, and I do parental consultation for parents with children who have behavioral problems. So making more content for that, just because I gotta become independent. Can't do the 9 to 5 no more, or for too long no more. So yeah. So if you're having any issues with your mindset, you need to talk to somebody. You need to listen in the ear, somebody that's non-judgmental, but has expectations of men and women, who's going to give you their honest opinion on what I believe, what I think I would do if I were you. I'll say that. That's 360 MBAA. That's 360 Mind, Body, Awareness, and Assessment. Why have why have one degree when you could have 360 degrees and have a full circle and be fully rounded? Anywho, this was Sports Talking Bull Stuff. This was the Corey Holcomb Cam Newton review. Comment on the video. Check out the other videos. I've been laying back. I ain't been making too much content, but I had to make a video on this because this was good grifting. It was a very good conversation for those who are willing to listen with an open ear and an open mind. And it's going to trigger those who are sensitive, but that trigger, if leaned into, it will no longer be a trigger once you lean into it. You just got to do your due diligence to do what's best for you, even if you're triggered by it. 360 MBAA, 360 Mind, Body, Awareness, and Assessment.com. Info at 360 MBAA.com. If you got questions. This was D. Davis, Sports Talking Bull Stuff. I'm out.